and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today I have with me an author of children's books. His name is Omar Chin. I'm very excited to hear more about his books, but first and foremost, like I always do, welcome to the show, and I want to let you know I appreciate you making space and time for me today. Time is a gift, you don't get it back, so I'm very, very thankful. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Awesome. Now, like I said in the opening, you have written several children's books,
Yes.
but you also have your own little princess I see here. Did the books come before or after her?
Yes and no. So the books didn't start off being for her. The books actually came from a conversation that I was having with a friend of mine in about 2017, where we were just discussing what would it have been like for you to speak to your younger self, which is where my first book came from. You are more than what you see. And in that conversation, she was saying, like, if I had someone like that or anything to where I could have been told that my experiences now aren't a bad thing and so forth, would have made a whole lot of difference in my life as I got older. So that's where the first book came from. And then I just thought about other examples, other kids that are going through things that really don't have an outlet or no one to tell them, like, hey, you know what? This is actually okay. And it just spawned from there. Now, the other part where the yes comes from is that I don't want our child to think that there's only one way to make it in life. I want her to know that she has options. She can be as creative as she wants. I want her to be able to explore and expand her mind. So I want her, so I wanted to make the example and show, like, hey, I wrote books. I did X, Y, and Z. You can do this too. Or if you want to do other things, we're here to help you and let you know that you can do whatever it is that you want. We will support you. So just think about what it is that you want to do. We'll work out a plan. We'll figure it out. If your mom and I don't know it, we'll learn it with you, and you can just do whatever you want.
Wonderful, wonderful parenting strategy. I love to hear that. Now,
Thank
how old is little mama?
you. She's 3, going on 18, 19.
Oh, poor little lady. She came along at a very awkward time. She's 3, so she was about a year when we hit this pandemic.
Somewhere around there, yeah. Yes.
Oh, wow. Poor baby. So all the concepts of normal parenting and normal childhood kind of went out the window for her. How did
Yeah.
you guys how did you guys handle the whole social distancing, shelter in place, masking and everything? I mean, how did you guys do all that?
So the masking was easy because she didn't have a frame of reference of anything prior. So once we had masks, we got masks that were also created for her. Um, we had some small, cute children's masks. So as a kid, she wants to do whatever we're doing. So now she asks for her mask whenever we're going out. So that actually pretty much took care of herself. Social distancing was interesting because we like to go out, we like to be amongst friends and family, but obviously that was nixed. Um, our main choice or main thought was, what do we do with daycare?
Mm.
And so her mom and I, we work, and the thought was, if we keep her home, what does that look like for us? And at that age, we would have to become full-time teachers. We would be her sole source of entertainment. She'd come into the rooms, we're on calls. So we say, yeah, we can't do that. It's just
Mm-mm.
not gonna work. Um, More power to all the parents that chose that option
Yes.
because we couldn't imagine. At a certain age, maybe, but at 1.5, 2 years old, no,
Mm-hmm.
just not for us.
Yeah.
So thankfully, her daycare stayed open. They instituted some new rules, so that just became our new norm. Things that we
Well,
used.
let me. I don't mean to interrupt you. I try not to do that.
It's
But
fine.
you said new norms, and I'm curious. What is it that they implemented that makes, because everybody's on different sides of the boards with, what is safe practices and not. So what did the daycare require?
So first and foremost, everyone had to wear a mask as they dropped off and they picked up their kids.
Okay.
Also, what we used to do, we used to always walk her into daycare, walk her into the classroom, speak to the teachers, give them a rundown of how the morning is, where I went, so that they would know what kind of kid they were getting that day. Because I mean,
Okay.
at that age, you just really never know what kind of kid you're going to get from one day from one day and on. And so we used to be able to do that, and then also at the end of each day, we would also speak to each teacher, find out
Okay.
how was the day, what's left, and so forth. But all that was out now,
Okay.
so everything was just all right. Drop off, pick up, and there was no one entering the actual building anymore.
Wow. Wow. Like I said in the opening, my young childhood days of raising a child were so long ago. And it was so comforting to me when I dropped her off to be able to walk in and see the
Yeah.
teachers and see the classroom and see what was going on. So I would assume that adds a little bit of like, oh, I don't know, I'm kind of uncomfortable here. I can't see what's going on in the building. But these are new times, new practices. Do you feel a little bit more comfortable now that the vaccine is rolled out?
Um, to a point.
Okay.
Our thing is still to just stay away. We pretty much interact with the other kids that are on our block,
Mm-hmm.
and outside of that, we don't really go out that much. We both work from home, so
Okay.
that's extremely helpful. And what it also helped us do is it was actually a blessing because with our new environment for work, it allowed us to actually spend more time with our child.
Okay.
Our mornings are longer because prior we were both getting up around 5:30, having to rush and get her up, get her out the house, drive over to daycare, drive for about an hour into the office, come back. We get her by around 6:15 or so.
Mm.
We would spend maybe 45 minutes with her prior to her having to go eat dinner, upstairs for bath, into bed.
Okay.
So it was just bang, bang, bang.
Bang,
Like
bang.
we really only see her on the weekends, and that's that. So,
You're like, oh yeah, I do have a kid. Wait a minute.
right.
So let me ask, because like I mentioned, people are on different sides of the fence when it comes to this vaccine. Um, did the family take it?
I have right now, yes. My wife will take it in a few months.
Okay. So especially for us historically as Black people, we're really uncomfortable with the medical facility industry, and especially when it comes to vaccines. So what made your family comfortable with this vaccine?
Comfortable-ish.
Issues.
Yes. So it was more so a risk reward type thing.
Mhm.
Since it is a virus that attacks the lungs, um, I decided to finally take it because I have asthma.
Oh.
And that would definitely hit me harder than anyone else in the household because no one else has asthma.
Mhm.
So the negative effects of me actually getting it and what that may truly do to me, it was a lot.
Oh,
And I didn't want to risk that and then leaving them without any help or just me in
yes.
the hospital for longer than I need to be.
Gotcha. Understood. Now, I don't think I'm up to date on things news wise, but little mama, she's 3. Is she eligible for the vaccine now or no?
No, the youngest that I've heard so far is 12. So she
Oh,
won't be able to get it for a while anyway, unless they make it for kids younger.
okay. So your comfort level as a parent, how is that? Like the two of you will be vaccinated, but she's roaming. I mean, is that stressful for you or?
To a point. The only good thing is that it's not really affecting younger kids that badly.
Okay.
You can always get something, but kids tend to bounce back a lot faster than we do.
Okay.
So hopefully she doesn't get it,
Mhm.
but there's a better chance of her not having any real issues than us.
Okay. Now we're all as a culture across the world, we're going to have some PTSD from this whole pandemic thing. So my question to you is, a year from now, 2 years from now, do you think you'll have some parental hesitations with things like going to the playground or I don't even know if they have any. McDonald's has that little jungle gym thing or whatever. Will
Or the
you?
ball pit. I mean, that
Yes.
was gross anyway. So that most likely would have happened anyway. As a kid, like, hey, let's go to the ball pit. But as an adult, you're like, do not
No,
go into that ball pit.
no.
Like, I'd rather buy you one than have you go into that ball pit. But like for playgrounds, I mean, you kind of got to hold your breath. It's like with anything in life, you don't want to take away the experience of having or of just going out and just being a kid. We definitely make sure that we use our wipes and sanitizers right after going out. So at least like there's that, but you still want her to be a kid. Don't want to have her
Yes.
scared of life, like, oh, I might get sick and so forth, because there's enough real things out there that could happen that we will have to tell her about in the future and say, like, hey, this is a fact of life. Be careful. So we don't want to have her think every time that she goes outside, she might get sick and other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just a whole new dynamic that we're living with now. And I don't even think we've really fathomed all of the down the line factors that we're going to have to deal with later on. But let me circle back here because I am here to talk about your children's book. But I wanted to know about Little Mama. But your children's books that I mentioned in the opening. First and foremost, I want to know how does, because it's a different kind of beast writing a children's book.
Yes.
How do you personally develop or start your storyline or how's the process play out for you?
So the process plays out with a
Mm-hmm.
concept first. I try to figure out what do I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about, and then I think about what kind of storyline makes sense and how can I string it all together so that it reads well and speaks well to a child
Mm-hmm.
while also teaching and conveying some kind of message.
Okay.
And that's always what I think about my books. I want it to be something that's actually insightful
Okay.
and you can take something away from it.
Okay. So do you test it out on some kids around you or
I just
how do
wing
you just
it.
I ain't mad at you.
It's what it is.
That lets me know that somewhere, even though you're grown with your own, there's an inner child in there. Like this works for me because I can. So so children's books, the thing about children's books is it's not just words, it's illustrated. It's very important
Yes.
to have the illustrate. So for you, do you write the book and then you give it to the illustrator, say here, just make the pictures, or do you guys work together, or how
We
does it
work
work for you?
together.
Okay.
So the way that I try to write my books is that I want the words to also convey what the image will be. The way that I think about the actual construction of the words, I want it to be easy enough for the illustrator to see the words and see
Mm-hmm.
the picture
Okay.
and create. I give the person a loose idea of how I want the characters to be. So I'll write the words and then on each line, I'll say like what should be happening in the book or on the page,
Awesome.
how they should look, and so forth. But I also want to give that person the free range to also be a creative person. I don't want to hamstring them too much to where to where that person can't explore the mind and stretch and grow that way as well.
Oh,
So I give the framework and I make sure that what they're creating is around my framework. So I'll see each picture, I'll say yay or nay, fix this, tweak that, and then we go from there.
okay. Is the princess, is she in one of the books? Is she a character?
She isn't in the books, but a lot of things also it can reference to her, like my book, In Her Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mothers that have daughters definitely see that because girls will often wear on their mom's shoes and then walk around in it, and then it's just like it's more of a metaphor for this is what will end up happening in the near future as the kid gets older and so forth.
Okay, good. Uh, let me go back to the parenting because I have a question here. Then I'm gonna go back to the books. But now that you are a father of a 3-year-old daughter,
Yes.
If you had to go back to your mom and dad and say, you know what, I get it now. I understand what you were trying to tell me. Like, what kind of things kind of click now that your parents were fussing about or trying to tell you or trying to teach you?
To go to bed. First and foremost. I definitely get just the whole, we need you to listen and understand what we're saying up front because this means something in the future. But then at the same time, each person is different. He or she has to go through their own stuff. You are you, and you're gonna do what comes naturally to you.
Okay.
My daughter is very, very similar to me. So I can understand why she's doing what she does.
Mhm.
While it is painful at times, but I understand where it's coming from. Now, the plus on that is I understand what kind of roadblocks I faced. So there's understanding the roadblocks. So once she gets old enough, I can say, hey, FYI, this might lead to this.
Gotcha.
Or I can say, well, I know how she might react to this kind of talk, this kind of action. It might not be as conducive to her or to me to try to do this. Instead of me just trying to be a hammer, I need to more so be a scalpel and fine tune my approach. Because in order for me to get her to understand and to hear, I need to appeal to other parts of her.
Okay. And you get that from knowing who you are as a person because you see so much of you in her.
Yes. Yeah. So trying to come at me head on, yeah, that really wasn't it's not hopefully effective. So,
okay. Yeah. If the wife can hear me, I pray for her. I truly understand. You know,
she knows.
Okay. So continuing on with parenting, there are different types of parents, different types of parenting styles, different beliefs. There are parents out there who feel or priorities are, buying their kids the latest things and putting them in the most expensive clothes. If you were to stand before some new parents or some soon-to-be parents, what message would you impart to them about the importance of exposing your children to reading right from the beginning?
So we read to our child from pretty much day one. We had her seeing pictures. We spoke often to her. We just let her see things. And her vocabulary, it just grew quickly. Like once she can really form words, it just took off like every few days. Like we saw that she got more comfortable with her thought process and just speaking. So she was speaking pretty clearly from when she was about 2. Awesome. And with books, she basically like reads to us. So she's a pretty forceful child.
Oh.
So we'll start reading the book and then she'll say, you know, it's okay, I got it. And she'll just take the book. Yeah, like I said, she's
her dad, right?
Yeah. So she'll just take the book and start turning the page and start going through like what's happening in the book via the pictures. Many of the books she just knows by heart now. And she'll say for the most part, like what's happening, like what the words are. And what I'll do every now and then, I'll read half of it and then I'll just stop and see if she'll pick up the other words. And like she'll say like what the next words or two should be and so forth. So she's been doing that for a while. So she's pretty good with knowing what's on the page, what she's seeing, and pointing things out. So I think that just it it encourages your child to speak and to think and to just see images and know like what's actually there in front of him or her.
Now I'm gonna share something. When my me and my late husband had our daughter, he used to always say, "I can't wait for her to start talking. I can't wait for her to start talking. I can't wait for her to start talking." And as soon as she started talking, oh gosh, I can't wait for her to be quiet. I can't wait for her to be quiet. So it's a good thing, but then there are the drawbacks. So, which one of your books does she prefer, or does she have a preference?
She doesn't have a preference yet. She likes all books. So
Okay.
she'll pick and choose a book each night. Sometimes, I mean, it's what it is. I'll try to pick a smaller book and say, hey, get that book. And it's a very, very fast read. And
Mm-hmm.
she'll say, no, I don't want that one tonight. It's like, of course
Mm-hmm.
not. So what book do you want? And I still go through all of her books and say, I want that one.
I love it.
So yeah, it kind of just goes with however she feels that day. It might be a short book, it might be a long book, but it'll be her choice which book she wants to read, and then we'll go through it, and that's our night.
Okay. So in the beginning, you said before pandemic, you guys had this routine. Everybody got up at 4, or you guys got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So what's the routine like now?
We get up around 6:45 to 7 o'clock. So clearly, it's a few more hours of sleep, which
Mm-hmm.
is helpful because it's
Yes.
our more natural time to wake up. We're out the house. Well, she's out the house by about 8 o'clock, and I start work by 8:30,
Okay.
and then I
Okay.
get her by 5:15 or so.
Okay. So are you looking forward to normal per se, or have you gotten comfortable with how it is now?
So selfishly, I've always wanted this. So this is my normal.
Okay. Okay.
What I do like, I still enjoy people and I still enjoy to go out and to mix and so forth. Going back into an office just wouldn't be my idea of a good time.
Okay.
Um, because just the logistics of it all, I'm burning 2 hours or so every day just driving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just time. That's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the fatigue once you get there. I'm in Atlanta. The
Oh,
traffic is what the
oh,
traffic is. So by the time you get into work, you've already spent like 4 hours mentally
yes.
trying to dodge cars, not get hit, and so forth. And you have to look at everybody everywhere because cars are coming in and out and no one really cares like if
Mm-hmm.
they hit you or not. So by the time I get into the office, it's like, all right,
Your battle zone. You've already.
right.
Okay. Atlanta, yes, it's one of my frequent spots to go to. Atlanta is like every time, everything's an hour away. Like
Yeah,
it just okay, it'll be an hour, and I'm like, but it's 20 miles away. Why does it take me an hour to get here?
it just is.
Atlanta's a whole different beast. So you have the 4 books out now. We're working
Yes.
on another one.
Yeah, so I'm actually working. Well, I finished up my first comic book. It's being illustrated now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you also the comic nerd kind of person?
To a point, I do like comics. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not one of those who've read like every single comic and know all the backstories, but I know enough of it. And what I've always wanted was a comic book that kind of made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things that I'll see in comic books, I'll just sit there and say, well, but why are you doing this? Like, I feel like feel like you're making life harder.
Mhm.
Whenever you see a hero with a girlfriend or a wife and their other identity is a secret, there's always a headache, there's always a fight there. And my thought is, well, if you guys are actually together, your girlfriend or wife, if you truly care about this person and she's truly with you, she won't be upset. She'll help you out.
Mhm.
But you're making up stories to go and fight crime in the effort to keep her safe. But now she's confused. She's asking questions. You're stressed. She's stressed. I'm like, well, this just doesn't make any sense at all.
That's not how Storm was.
Who?
Uh, Panthers girl.
That's true. One of the few. But again,
Wait, I had to stand up for mine. Wait a
oh,
minute.
absolutely.
So are you more of a Marvel type comic person,
Marvel.
or okay, or I
Yeah.
should say, or anime type person? My daughter, she loves anime, so I just had to ask. So comics, okay. So this will be more geared towards teens and adults,
Mature.
maybe.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
not for children, but teens and adults.
No, not for kids.
He's like, oh no,
No.
okay. So when can we expect this one?
It depends on the illustrator. He has a few other things to work on. So once he gets his time, he can let me know the pricing and the time frame. I'm hoping that the first book comes out this year because I think it's a really good book. I've had a few friends that are truly deep in the comics. I had them read that one to say like,
Okay.
all right, what does this look like for you guys? Like what needs to be tweaked and so forth. So after their reviews, I made my updates and I feel really good about the final product.
Awesome. That is unique. That's unique. Now, you have the illustrator for the comic book and you've had the illustrator for the children's book. Just tip for somebody out there might be listening, what should they look for if they're looking for an illustrator?
Pricing matters.
Okay. Is it an
What kind of
expensive process?
what happened?
Is it an expensive process? I don't
It
know.
can be,
Okay.
depending on the illustrator. And you also have to know like what's your budget? Like what kind of images are you looking for? You
Okay.
have some people who are great illustrators. And I never try to talk anyone down from their price
Mhm.
because I believe in respecting the work that a person is doing. I respect their work, I respect their time and their price. So if it's in your budget, go for it. I know some people who would charge you $3,000 a book. Um,
But
yeah,
children's books are only like 30 pages or
some people make really great images and they will charge you for their time. But to me, it's fair. If it's their time, their pricing, if you're willing to pay it, you pay it. If
okay.
not, you find somebody else who's more in line with your budget. So
Okay.
understand what you can spend, what will be your return, because that also matters.
Mhm.
It's like you might not be doing it just for the sake of doing it. So think about how many books can you sell to make the money back and then to start making a profit. So
Okay.
there's also a business component in this, in understanding what's your break even point and when you start making a profit.
Okay, okay. Now, that's another interesting thing that I just thought about before I do the random question. But usually, before the pandemic, authors, when they release new books, there's that whole standard process of going out to different events and doing book signings or whatever. Have you had to shift that dynamics? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did sell more when I was able to be out and about. I would have books on me, had a scar, excuse me, I had a card reader and so forth.
Okay.
So it's definitely a little bit harder now because now it's just everything's online advertising,
Mm.
posts, will it get shared and so forth.
Okay.
So that's a little bit harder, but with all things you learn to adapt.
Yeah. A little bit more elbow work. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do the random question. And then if I could trouble you to tell everybody how they connect with you, how they pick up the book and everything. Well, so let's see what we've got here. Let's see. If you could pick one celebrity to have lunch or dinner with, who would it be?
Alive or dead?
Doesn't matter.
I would say Malcolm X.
Good choice. And why him?
I would just love to pick his brain just to understand what got him from where he was to where he is now. What did he see? What was the fight like?
Mhm.
His true experiences. Um, what did he believe going in? When his thoughts
Yes.
changed? Why did they change? What did he want to see in the future? And what did that look like? There are many people who we just know their work wasn't done.
Hmm.
So what did he want to do? And did he see this actually being possible or not?
Gotcha. Good thing, because yeah, he was going through so many transition at the end and changing mind shifts
Right.
at the end, and it would have been interesting to see where he could have taken things had not the dynamics of the situation transpired. But his story has always been very important to me
Right.
on so many motivational levels. This is where you start. You could end up being this. Don't count yourself out. And just you have purpose in life, and it's just a whole phenomenal story. But yeah, like you said, it would be very interesting to see what he could have accomplished if he had been given more time. So
Right.
awesome, awesome, awesome choice. I would have never expected anybody to say that, but I'm glad you said that. So, Mr. Omar Chin, uh, that is a name, and I read your history, but I have only heard Jamaicans with that last name. Only have I heard Jamaicans with that last name, and it just so happens that that's indeed what you are. So,
Yes.
anyways, tell us how we connect with you, pick up the books, and nudge you along for the comic book along the way and
I
everything. So,
appreciate it. So all of my books are available on my website, the THE, um, the creative words with the S.com. And it's the same name for my IG page, the creative words.
okay, we'll have to wait for that. And once again, when can we expect the comic book?
Hopefully this year. I'm
Okay.
pushing for it.
And the rest of the books are available on your
On my
standard.
website.
Oh, on your
Yes.
okay. All righty. Is little mama close by?
No, she is upstairs taking a bath because if she
Oh,
comes into the room, it'll be her interview.
okay. I was gonna say I could say hello. All righty.
No, it would definitely be her interview if she walks into this
Be
room.
another 30 minutes. I'd have to talk to her, but that's all right.
Right. Either that or she'll pull me away and say, all right, tell them bye. So
Awesome. I love it. I love the little ones. Love the little ones. I love their energy and their innocence, and just want to see what the world is about. And hey, what is that? And what is that? I just
we're
love
definitely in
it.
that stage right now about everything. Like, what is that? What's that noise? What does that do? Right now, we're watching the Olympic trials. So we're all into sports in this house. So everything that she sees, she's like, "Oh, look, they're running. Oh, they fell down. Oh no!" Like, so
Oh,
it's just
that is great.
like
That
her
is great.
brain's it's just like on fire right now. Yeah,
That's great. She's got some beautiful role models to look up and aspire to be.
thank you.
Some women are out there doing it. You're doing it. Just, I mean, and I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about mom. I'm pretty sure mom is phenomenal too as well. So,
Yes,
I'm expecting great things from her and everything. So we'll circle back and after you make it through the teenage years and see how things have come along.
well, that's gonna be interesting.
See if you're still alive.
Yeah, it's gonna be like everyone has already said, like, hey, just so you know, you gonna have a few rough years with her as a teenager.
Especially she's like dad. That's locking
Yeah,
horns, right? So, oh gosh, it's gonna be
yeah.
wonderful. All righty, Omar. I have truly, truly enjoyed myself today. I thank you for your time. I just wish the whole family lots of success, lots of love your way. I appreciate everything that you're doing and putting out in this world. So just keep on doing it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. That's all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.